in Arlington.
Because people are paid low wages.
Well, okay, so.
But there's a ton of affordable housing. And there's no business at
Right.
that end of
So
town.
let's,
And we have
let's-
no transportation services.
What do you think, define affordable, what do you think, just out of curiosity, what do you think affordable means as far as?
I'm sure it's something under
value?
$100,000.
Multiple families.
And it's the multifamily
Yeah,
more than anything. that is
Okay,
the
so,
issue.
but think about apartments.
Right, we don't need
And-
those,
and-
we're tearing
okay,
them down
but-
as
but-
fast as we can.
But think about an apartment and what should be affordable for a family to live in an apartment, single family, or, doubles or a family. What's a reasonable housing cost for people to deal
You
with?
know, I have two young sons, and both of them can't get into a place for under 1,400, and that's a single
Yeah.
person. So,
Is that affordable? I mean, $1,400 for an apartment sounds crazy to me.
you know what, that's what it is.
It is what it is, I agree,
Yeah.
I agree,
Yeah.
but, so.
So we need to be
so-
pushing to that level
And
instead
I
of
don't,
going down.
I don't disagree there. There needs to be, our housing policy is one that offers a continuum of choices. And if you take a look at the data is that we're pretty heavy in the middle market, from kind of the high entry area to the kind of the lower, nicer area. We're good middle market kind of thing.
Mhm.
We're missing it on the high end, we're missing it on the low end, as far as inventory going to match things up.
Right.
So, do we need more? Objectively, data-driven, the answer is yes. But artistically and in the community, what do we have now? I would argue that there is a fair amount of affordable housing that's in the form of single family, that's actually become more of the multifamily kind of world. But going back to your High Oak point, just to give you a little more background on that, because I know it very well. I was the guy who bought all the property up.
Right, okay. from-
And we did talk about having a park way back when. But we also talked about that, and I had a former boss, Mr. Holgerson, who was very interested in
Mhm.
housing development. So we worked it, and we tried to go as far as we could, and the neighbors did say exactly what we did. What got us out of that, quite honestly, what
Yeah.
got us out of that is HUD nationally was getting some pressure under what they would call the spending ratios. And they finally were willing to kind of give up, because we were being told by Washington what had to happen.
Yeah.
And they finally said, okay, fine, we got to get this money locked up and out the door, because your spending ratios, you've got too much money. So go ahead, they gave us permission to do that. We had to get their permission.
Oh, I didn't ever doubt.
But
that.
they were not liking it when we first pitched that idea. Hey, what if we just call it a park? Because the investment of HUD dollars, you just have to meet a low-income objective.
Mhm.
And I would argue, which we did back then, is that park serves a majority low-income of the neighborhoods that are already around it, let alone some nicer ones, but also some lower ones. It met the census tract criteria. And they're like, no, you said you were going to do this. So they tried to make us do that.
Yeah.
And it went as far as we could. Neighborhood pushback helped. And then at the end of the day, we got, I think, a really nice park there.
Beautiful park.
So it's good. But
And everyone, all those lower income areas use it every day, as do everybody from Interlochen and Yost.
Yeah.
I mean, it is brought a lot of different incomes together, a lot of different people together. It's, it couldn't have turned out better. It's
I agree.
wonderful.
But I would argue too, that as I watched the housing market back in 2008-09,
Mhm.
we didn't have a very big bubble in town. That's why we didn't go down like the way East Coast and West Coast did,
Sure.
because we just hadn't been bid up.
Right.
The real estate market in Arlington has been bid up. And you see that in the tax values moving so fast, and you see it in the multifamily markets that are crazy outrageous. Because to your point, you go look at any of these that would be identified even as, quote, Section 8 apartments,
Mhm.
and they want $1,300 a month for them or something like that. It's crazy money. We are unfortunately, whether we like it or not, one of the hottest apartment markets in the country. Why? I think it's because we're a hot geography. And then I think it's because of some of the legacy 2008 stuff, where a lot of people saw bad things happen to their friends and relatives, and they're like, I don't want all that. Let me go pay more, and I have no obligation to maintain, I have no obligation to mow the grass, I have no obligation to make a mortgage. I just need to pay my rent, and if I can't afford it, then throw me out. So I think there's a strong demand, which is really bidding this stuff up. And it's to the point where even if I wanted to go buy some old apartments now and knock them down, I can't afford them. They're astronomically priced.
Mhm.
It's just crazy. But anyway, I understand your point.
But, is that land dedicated, Is that for some reason dedicated to affordable housing? Or
The
was
air-
it just
Yeah,
that
no,
somebody,
no.
a builder wanted?
Yeah,
to
no,
do
it's not
affordable
dedicated to it.
housing? Okay.
The only thing it would be dedicated to is what this underlying zoning is, and I don't know the parcel you're talking about. I know the High Oak, but I don't know the one you're talking about, so it depends on what it's zoned. If it's zoned multifamily, then again, a upscale multifamily developer or an affordable housing multifamily developer or a senior housing, anybody can come in there and give me drawings that meet it, and I can't do anything about it. The council has really 2 or 3 key choices that they have to make when they run the city. One is the budget that we were talking a little bit about,
Yeah.
but equally as important, maybe more so, is the city's map, the land use decisions that are made. Because those land use decisions build a community that then builds the treasury the way you want it to,
Yeah.
through sales tax and property protection and all that. So every one of those land use decisions that are made is our map. And literally, those zoning changes change the face of Arlington. And we have historically not been willing to change zoning unless somebody comes to ask us to change the zoning. We could, if we decided to just go change zoning. Now, that might be expensive, it might be loud, it might be government overreach, it might be all those things.
Yeah.
But it could be done technically, and our council has said we don't want to do that. Somebody brings us a deal, and they want to do change it from X to Y, we'll consider changing it from X to Y, but we won't do it any other way. So that parcel probably had a multifamily zoning on it, but that wouldn't mean it guaranteed it. I mean, it could have been anything, and somebody just thought they could come in here and get multifamily. And I'll give you another example. I got a guy who tried to get an affordable housing deal 2 years ago, didn't get it approved, suing the city, filed a fair housing complaint against the city. We're in Washington on that right now, waiting to be told if we discriminated against him because we turned down his application for affordable housing development. So those are some of the other things that just happen in all of this. I'm optimistic we'll be favorable there, because we didn't approve his, we approved 2 others, but they were senior deals.
Mhm.
So now the question is, well, is approving senior deals kind of code for not approving family deals that might have more diversity? And that's kind of the crux to the matter that's being looked at now. Since then, we have approved some others, and we've done something in a different way. It's a bit of a pilot, we'll find out. But a lot of the apartments, the reason people get frustrated, at least from a city perspective, is we lose a lot of control, and code compliance is just a headache. So we've done a pilot one now where we're actually a general partner with it, so we can ensure that the money flow goes to the rehab and the maintenance and the capital side. We'll find out if that works or not. And we also get a fair amount of money, so if we have to, we can take that money and plow it in to keep it up, because we want to make sure it's safe, decent, affordable housing for people. But yeah, data-driven, the answer is yes. And I got lots of stuff I could show you if you really want to look at it, but I understand your broader point
Yeah.
that our demographic more broadly as far as lower income.
Yeah, well, we're
could
never
be-
going to get the higher income as long as we continue.
Yeah, you need a
lower
mix, you need a
income.
mix, hopefully ideally.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Do we still have the shared ride program?
What program?
Shared ride, VIA.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. In fact, just out of curiosity, how many of you have had a chance to ride VIA? Only 1, 2. I would encourage you to try it out. It's still in what we call a pilot mode. It operates in about a third of the city, from Lamar over to the east city limits, down to just south of I-20, and over to Fielder. So it gets all the hospitals, gets all the major shopping, gets the university area. It also connects up to the Trinity Railway Express. So it's a good swath of Arlington. And it operates kind of like Uber does. So you download the app called VIA, and you order the ride. And they come get you. Like if we were going home tonight, we're outside the zone, but if we were on the east side, we'd be able to do it, because our goal right now is to grow to the south down to TCC, and then wrap kind of southwest, west, and north. If we do the whole program, citywide, that program is about a $7 or $8 million a year program, with about 50 different vans that are running around. That said, I alluded earlier, a quarter penny on the city sales tax is $16 million. So really, we can provide citywide micro transit for about half of that money. But try it out one day when you got a chance. Download the VIA app, you load in a card. You can also call, if you prefer just to call a line. There's a phone number you call directly to coordinate all this for folks, people who don't have smartphones. And we charge $3 a ride or $15 a week. And for $15 a week, you can ride it 4 times a day. So that would actually make it about 40 cents a ride if you rode it 4 times every day for $15.
And if you live in that specific area, it comes to your home to pick you up?
Close. So the reason it's affordable and the reason it's a little different, that it's not like Uber and Lyft, because I could argue that actually Uber and Lyft have solved transportation access issues.
Yeah.
Door to door,
Yeah.
door to door. But if I'm going home from here tonight, I'm paying probably $10 for the ride home on Uber or Lyft, and that's not sustainable to and from work. On Lyft, it's $3 or the share of a weekly pass. The way we do that is it's a couple of things that make it affordable. One is this is the only program in the United States, another first, we're innovative here, the only rideshare program in the United States that gets Federal Transit Administration dollars in a rideshare only fashion. So we have some federal money that comes in, we take some city money and layer it in as well to buy down the rate further. Then you're required to take a shared ride. You might get a ride by yourself, but you have to be willing to ride with 4 or 5 other people, which might mean your ride is a little less succinct. But for a few moments of delay and kind of having the ride share, you get this affordable ride. And then the last piece of it is it's not door to door, but I call it close to close. They might make you walk 2 or 3 blocks for pickup, and they might make you walk 2 or 3 blocks to where you're going because they're trying to optimize the route. So they require you to walk a little bit, a block or 2, and then all those other things layer together to make it affordable. And so it's going really well. Demand is very strong. We do about 700 rides a day. On the weekends now, we're doing about 500 rides a day on Saturdays. It runs from 6 in the morning to I think 10 p.m. during the week, and on Saturdays like 9 to 6. No hours on Sunday. So yes, it's still going, and for right now, for the foreseeable future, I anticipate it to continue. And interestingly, in the past, a lot of the criticisms would be, why don't you have transportation? Or in the alternative, why in the heck would we even been thinking about transportation? Now the complaints are along the lines of, when is it coming to my neighborhood? Or, that's good, but it's not good enough, and where's our buses and where's our rail line? It's kind of interesting that the voices of it's not robust enough is the louder complaint now than thank you for putting some transportation in place to help us get to and from work or the hospital or whatever. It's been an interesting dynamic to watch, but we're real proud of that. It's up and going, and I think it's a good scalable solution for us. It's affordable in the long haul.
But there's still handy-tran.
So there is still handy-tran, and our goal is actually to move some of the able-bodied off of handy-tran to VIA because it's more flexible and easier, and actually create more true disabled access for handy-tran, where people with wheelchairs and such. So we're trying to move some people over. Changing patterns and habits is difficult.
And Fort Worth is considering.
Fort Worth's considering it, and
Which means
I
we
think
could
Dart.
go.
I think Dart also added some routes. Actually, Fort Worth put it in out by Alliance.
Okay.
Kind of, they do it first mile, last mile. So the main bus will take you up to a certain spot, and then with VIA, they can kind of cover a broader area around that. So yes, we brought a good tool to the region that others are looking to tap. Yes, ma'am.
My daughter and I had an interesting experience. We decided that we wanted to ride on the driverless van.
Yes.
So we went over to the Cong, and we had been told there was a kiosk there.
Yes.
Well, when we got there, there was a poster on the window. So that, I guess, is the kiosk. But anyhow, it told us that we needed to download an app and turn around 3 times and jump on the app, and then that somebody would come and get us. Well, we thought, instead of doing all that, we'll just go over to Texas Live. Maybe they have a kiosk. So we went over there, and they wouldn't let us in the parking lot. They said there was going to be a baseball game, so we couldn't go into the parking lot. So we never did get to ride on that video.
I'm sorry about that. It was a cool experience to see how that did. I rode it once, And interestingly, the time that I wrote it, we got honked at. But why? Because the car was going cautious and in the lane and the light turned green. And because the guy thought we should have floored it a little quicker, he started honking to get going. And then he zoomed right past us. So it was driving the law, it was driving consistent in the lanes, but it was not, we were gonna have an autonomous road rage incident because they drive too safe.
Are they gonna use that parking lot for all the baseball games and the events so that Texas Live can sit there and wonder where their customers are?
Yeah, that's an ongoing challenge a little bit between Live needing it close in proximity and the Rangers needing proximity on games. It's not an issue at all on non-game days. On game days, there's a little bit of a challenge to coordinate there between those two parties. It is. And unfortunately, Drive AI, the autonomous thing, it went away because they got bought out. I don't know for sure, but the rumors are it got bought out by Apple. And they don't plan on using it for their technology directly, but they wanted to buy their talent